live. Hello, everyone. Hello, everyone. Hello, hello, hello. Very nice seeing you again. I know you've was really looking forward. I received a lot of very friendly and warm messages in my email, and I'm sorry for not replying to all of them. I know that you've missed my non-ironed polo shirts. I appreciate that as well. Very nice seeing you all here. I've spied on your chat what you've been saying. I actually even was able to ban one of the trolls, which was very refreshing after a little bit of a break. So it's very nice to be here. Thank you so much right away to the moderating team. So if you have a second, guys, can you please give a hand to the moderating team? Remember, they're the people that help us protect with the trolls, so I don't have to, so I can fully dedicate myself speaking to you, answering your questions, talking about Ukraine, discussing what's up, how we will all be doing. Write me which oblast you're from, because apparently this is now a thing. So really glad to see you again. I missed you guys. I gotta say, like it's becoming for me. I was never a public person in a sense. You know that. I'm not gonna repeat the whole story, but it now that I've been a little bit sick during this week, I feel that I missed it a little bit. I gotta say, I missed it a little bit because it's like having a good friend. And it's a friend that just went on some kind of a, I know it's me that left, not you, but just follow me here. It's like a friend and he went for some work trip. I mean, yeah, you can technically send him a message, but it's not the same thing. And during the week, a lot of things came up. And I was really like, oh my God, I need to talk about this. Oh my God, I need to talk about that, because apparently really big things happened during this week. And it felt that just, damn, it's too bad I can't. And it felt really bad. So I feel very warm feelings right now towards everyone that is in chat, that I am back again seeing that old friend that came back from a longer time. And I just want to say, how are you, buddy? Let's talk. And we start today with a very interesting overview. Firstly, I want to say right away that I'm not going to do a big overview of the Frontline because that's for tomorrow's video. We're going to discuss certain things. I'm going to answer certain questions about what's happened. I'm going to maybe talk about the hottest topics. There were mostly good things that were happening during the week, but there were also some things that really got me a little bit triggered, but you know that already what they could be. And all in all, we can say that it's been a good week for Ukrainians. We will see what's gonna come out of this week, but there are preconditions for a lot of very optimistic and positive developments. I think kind of the big point that we all need to get through is that Ukrainian strategy is working. That their strategy of attrition, the strategy that they've chosen to slowly but surely deplete Russian reserves, is working, and it's finally starting to pay dividends. Now, the obvious question is, will it pay dividends fast enough? Because Ukraine has about 4 weeks left of good weather. After 4 weeks, the front line will turn into mush. Do we want this or not? That's the unfortunate truth. And from there, any kind of offensive action will be not impossible, but it's definitely going to be limited. However, we're going to talk a little bit about this today. And another thing that we're going to definitely discuss today, and I'm going to be very happy to talk about, is the Raffle, because 100,000 subscribers have been completed, the Raffle. All of the applications, despite the last week's complete disaster with YouTube supposedly tagging it as some potentially unwanted content, whatever. So I had to change the rules. So no more rules, no more preconditions apply. Whoever applied, we're going to see that we can send the goodies from Ukraine. I can only nicely ask you to continue support Ukraine. As always, with any stream, I appreciate any donations or support you send to this channel. And I will ask you as well to right before you go into the channel, into the super chat, or into buy me a coffee, which is a lot more preferable because then I don't have to give 40% to YouTube, is that you consider whether sending it to me is really what you want to support. Because if you want to support Ukraine, a better option would be to go directly to Ukrainian websites, to go directly to United 24 or some other quite popular platforms. Just ask a question, where is a good place to send the money? And I'm pretty sure people will answer in chat with some of the nice links. Remember, supporting Ukraine is above everyone else, but if you have some ability to share and support this channel, I would appreciate it as well. In any case, this is the opening start. I am really, really glad seeing you from everywhere. I see Holland, I see Oklahoma, I see, well, I mean, didn't Netherlands drop the whole Holland thing? I thought, or is it like still a thing? Because I've heard that Netherlands have dropped everything from their kind of naming conventions, that there is like, okay, no more Holland naming, because it was is a big ambiguous, or is it like just we're rolling with this? Germany, Switzerland, welcome guys. Really nice seeing you here. Northern Ireland, a very nice place as well. I wish I want to come to Northern Ireland, but it's a little bit unclear. I know that there is if you have a British accent, it can be tricky in Northern Ireland, but I don't think I have a British accent, so I think I'm going to be fine. In any case, thank you so much for OCT. Let me also refresh a couple of things so I see your super chats or any kind of support, and I would be able to read it out loud. So what do we have here? Silver Earth, welcome to Brother in Arms. Ohms, thank you so much for 5 gifted membership. And OCT, thank you so much for 20 gifted memberships. Really staunch supporter, OCT. David, thank you so much for $5. Appreciate it as well. Warsaw, perfect. We're starting. We're having all of the Europe. We're having people from all over the United States, at least from New York City for sure, and from other places as well, I see. Wow, so this week, wow, what a week it was, wasn't it, guys? First and foremost, what would we want to start with? The missiles, the situation around Avdiivka, the potential for Ukrainian offensive development, or do you want to start with the negatives? Do you want to start me bitching about certain things? Because that's a little bit of a thing. Let's just put it this way. So I'll leave it up to you because it's whatever I'm gonna see in chat, whatever is gonna dominate, I'm gonna go Kadyrov. Oh, okay, Kadyrov. So the rumors are stated. As always, with rumors, I'm very, very careful because there's just no way to verify them, right? It's the same with Putin being sick. He might be sick, but the severity of that sickness is unclear. With Kadyrov, we're hearing that he's in a potentially bad shape, that he's potentially in coma, and we've heard, I'm sorry, I'm still have residual parts from my sickness, but we've heard that Kadyrov potentially can be a next target for Putin after Prigozhin, because while he was always fully supportive of Putin, he was a bit of a loose cannon. So there were a couple of Russian analysts that were saying that potentially Kadyrov will be taken out next after Prigozhin, which might be, but we don't know. We don't know. Right now, what I've heard about Kadyrov is rumors that he's in critical condition, that he's in coma, that apparently we have no way to verify that. I only know the things that Ukrainian intelligence have been saying, generally speaking, have been mostly true rather than not true. For example, remember the Kadyrov's right-hand man, Delimkhanov? Let me show you on screen so you kind of remember the face. Delimkhanov. This guy, so you kind of remember. Let me share. So I put a... Can I open this? Yeah. So this guy. So the guy on the left, Delimkhanov, was also some time ago, there were stated that he was hit by a missile and that he was in a pretty bad shape, after which there was a video released, supposedly, that Delimkhanov is totally fine and he's great and doing amazingly and he's commanding certain troops. But it was a video that was from nowhere. There was no possibility to identify where exactly that video was taken and if it was real or not. But we know, since that video appeared that supposedly proves him going and doing stuff, after that he has not appeared neither on the front lines in Ukraine, neither on any kind of parades within Chechnya, neither on the public videos. So potentially he might have been really badly injured during that missile strike. And moreover, now if Kadyrov as well is a problematic figure, that's a big thing. To be honest, this was something that was kind of for a while at the back of my head, that I wanted to get some of the Chechen perspective on this, and I wanted to reach out to some of the people from the Republic of Ichkeria that are essentially fighting Kadyrov for already many, many years. And there are many of them in Europe. Unfortunately, not many of them do speak English, but some of them do. And I will try to reach out to find out, and maybe they will be able to come over and comment more concretely. But no promises for sure, because as you know, me making promises is a really bad idea. I just don't have the time, because if you don't know, then I have a very nice career that I very love. I'm doing my job. My primary job is my, well, I wouldn't say like a dream job. I'm still working for a corporation, for someone else. So it's not like me working for myself. But it's definitely a job that I was studying for. It's a job that I enjoy. And it's a job that sustains my family, sustains my living. So I don't have to be burdened by anything, and that is what allows this channel to run and dedicate a lot more money that is made by this channel to support Ukrainian armed forces, and I'm very happy for that. So because of that, I don't have as much time, and I was blue balling the Crimean Tatar girl that was supposed to come over and talk about the Crimean Tatar for like 4 weeks. And it ended up terribly, and we never got anything set up. And now I'm really ashamed of even trying to write her, because I'm not very good with people, and I'm unfortunately was a terrible dick with just not getting through to that message. So no promises, but I will try to see if I can get someone from Chechnya going through this. North Korea, guys, yes, from Chechnya to North Korea. Very good transition. Thank you so much, Artur. Yes, so our dear friend, the Puffy Kim, has went to Russia and met with Botox Asshole, which was an interesting review when one asshole was talking to another asshole. Coming back to our discussions from the last stream, and it was something. It was definitely interesting. If you haven't watched the last one, Jonathan's, well, maybe not last, because Jonathan Frink from the Silicon Curtain releases so many good commentators talking about the situation in Ukraine. But just recently there was a nice person over, and let me just Google his name just so I get it completely straight, which was the James Scher. I'm hoping I'm not butchering that name. But James was talking, and he was actually expressing a couple of really good points. He was saying that with this war, Russia has given up on a lot of, how would you say, like a pro-Russia policies. Russia has given up a lot. If we cannot even list from how much. It's the special relationship with Germany. It's the general business model that they were having, and they just gave up on that. It's the Russian position of soft power, because Russia pretty much lost their soft power, period. Its general standing in the world has been lost by Russia. Now they're also more dependent on China than ever. And now they're making this meeting between Kim and Putin like a huge thing. There was a very nice overview from some of the Ukrainian channels where they pulled videos from the Russian propaganda about how Russian propaganda is talking about this immensely important meeting between Kim and Putin, and then there's like two independent states. And obviously the absolute funniest, like the butt of the joke, we're talking about one asshole talking to another asshole, but absolute butt of this joke is obviously the UN Secretary General, the Guterres, because we know that Russia is turning UN into the clown fiesta. And Guterres was coming up saying, "Oh, Russia, please, no, you must not trade armaments and any kind of technology with North Korea. You signed the document." Well, that was like, to be honest, there are a lot of lame things that we've seen. Like, we've seen in the last year and a half super many really lame things, like super stupid. Starting with the cope cages from javelin strikes. And let's not go into cope cages, that now cope cages are okay, whereas before it was a joke. What's the difference? Maybe I'm going to talk about it at some point. But starting from cope cages, then to stealing the toilets, because Russian military men supposedly never saw toilets in their lives, then to going into this perspective of Russia supposedly a great state where there is not even basic roads in some other places, to now going into Russia meeting with North Korea with supposedly a big development of their military. and with all of that, UN was like, well, okay, well, things happen. But also, Russia, would you consider abiding by the papers that you've signed? What a joke. What a joke. Like, that was the biggest thing. I also obviously lost my train of thought, but I'm trying to play it cool. In any case, wow, that was something. That was something. Like, toilets for North Korea. Yeah, for sure. It's actually quite silly. Like, I don't even know how to express the silliness of this. It's so far devolved from a normal country, because look, I'm from the Baltics, right? For us, Russia was always the butt of the joke, right? We never saw Russia as one of the things that Jonathan Frink and his guest was arguing in that discussion was that, there is a realist position. A realist position, it's very difficult. But like, there is one argument that they're making that really stands out. And that argument is that Russia is a great power, and great powers just don't stop existing. They transform, they change, but they still stay great powers in the world, which is completely untrue. It's factually inaccurate, because it completely dismisses any kind of potential change and any kind of great power changes in the world. But this is what they're saying. And that is the perception that they're making, saying is like, what? There is this realist position where great powers, they are here to stay. And that was a lot of time, the perspective in a lot of Western Europe or inside of US, where Russia was considered, if not great power anymore, because it's not the Soviet Union, then some kind of a transformed power where they have actual significant influence, because either Putin was able to build that kind of image, or because nukes, or because some other things. Whereas in the Baltics, in Poland, and people that actually interact with Russia and Russians, for them it's always been like, yeah, like they're not that smart. Russia is I think John McCain said it best, that Russia is literally like a glorified gas station with nukes. And that's pretty much the view, that Russia was always this backward technologically, how do you say, undeveloped country, that fully dependent on rich powers buying their oil, rich powers buying, like, well, powerful people within richer societies buying into Russian corruption, taking dirty money, and that was their business model. That was the whole setup that Russia had. And the problem was that no one was listening to Eastern European countries, which is, I mean, obviously, from the Western perspective, why would you listen? Like, you guys barely started living on your own. So let's skip all of that. Let's not go into that. But the point still stands. Like, past is a past. Now we're living in a new world where Poland is quickly becoming the Europe's pretty much superpower in a military sense. If they later on, once Ukraine wins, will unite with Ukraine, Jesus Christ, like, that's going to be unstoppable military force. At that moment, I believe that military force of United Poland that's going to be finishing their rearmament program together with Ukrainian armed forces, one of the most, no, it's actually not one of the most, it is the most experienced force. Maybe Israeli armed forces can somewhat rival Ukrainian armed forces, but I don't think the quantity is on the same scale. But Ukraine is definitely, in Europe for sure, that's going to be a definitive leader of the military outlook for the whole continent. So we are seeing significant shift. We're seeing a lot of balance moving very much east. I don't think that it is as noticeable for maybe Germany, just because the Germany is the superpower, economic powerhouse of Europe. And while there are a lot of questions with regards to their, what is it called? Zeitswende, or, oh, sorry, Germans, please fix me. But the turnaround, the rearmament of Germany, finally realizing that your armed forces should be doing something, or, like, flying helicopters that actually fly, riding tanks that actually can be turned on. Overall, we can say that, yes, Europe maybe slowly, but is waking up. And especially in the latest package of help to Ukraine, European powers specifically supplied a lot more than even US. And to be honest, that doesn't speak well on US, and that's already tapping a little bit into my grievances that I'm having that over the last week with regards to support to Ukraine. But generally speaking, it's nice to see that Europe is finally picking up pace. So with all the shitting that I did on European leaders for the whole last years, remember there was a lot of you giving me a lot of shit, like, Georgie, why stop so much talking about Scholz, because, like, maybe he's actually a good guy, why are you always shitting on him? It's like, it worked. It worked. We shat on him, we made it publicly delivered to him, saying that, hey, speed it the fuck up, Olaf, and it worked. It worked. So the problem of shitting and the problem of, like, people being triggered by it is that works. That delivers results. And right now we're in a situation where Ukrainian lives, like actual people lives, are dependent. Yes, there might be people on the receiving end that they will, feel bad. Like, their day will be soured. They will unsubscribe from this channel, if they were ever subscribed. I'm not sure if they did. But in the end, who benefited are the Ukrainians, because now we see less Ukrainians being killed in Ukraine, because, for example, anti-air systems have been delivered. Ukraine have been able to set up a very good anti-air shield around a lot of their key cities, along a lot of their key objectives. That worked. Things worked. Unfortunately, not all of the things. And now we're going to go into the rant. So the bad news of the week is that a lot of things have been promised to Ukraine but never delivered. We knew about this going into Ukrainian offensive. We knew that Ukraine is not really receiving as much. Ukraine is not getting all of the tanks. Remember, the Leopard 1 tanks, the whole 100, were promised like by June. Only now they're like, I believe the first 10 just arrived. That there was a lot of a bunch of equipment with APCs promised. For example, US promised 250 APCs, which are not going to be arriving in the next year and a half, now that we found out this year. GLSDB that were supposed to arrive even before June, like in May. Remember GLSDB? Important thing. Apparently now there has been production problems or anything else, and GLSDB are also not coming yet. That's a lot of very, very key parts that make up an offensive. And I'm not tapping into the airframes. I'm not tapping into the planes because they were not promised. I'm just talking about what was promised. And it's what pisses me the most, because the power of offensive consists of, let me simplify that. War is a competition between two parties. Both parties want to get stronger. So like think about this, that they're trying to inflate their balloons or something. And inflating that balloons requires you to have resources. Like example, like a mini game, like you throw a coin and then the guy that you like, or the machine that you throw a coin in pumps the balloon higher. So having bigger balloon really matters. And Russia is mostly producing or having like deals with Iran, having deals now with North Korea, and they're slowly kind of pumping up their balloon. Like it's the problem we have is obviously because of all of the stockpiles from the Soviet times. They are having a really big balloon just to begin with, but there are problems with that balloon. Let's not delve to it right now. And then Ukraine is like saying, okay, we have an opportunity, we have like Russia is weakened, so we can retake, can have a bigger balloon. You just need to throw in like those 5 coins. And it was like last year. That was after the Kharkiv offensive. That was after Kherson offensive finished. And that was like right before the winter. Ukraine is like, Zaluzhny, okay, I need like 300 tanks. I need like 700 APCs. I need to get like the 80 kilometers to Tokmak. Oh, not to Tokmak, Melitopol. That was last winter or autumn. I'm sorry, I don't remember precisely which date. And then nothing happened. It's like, you have the opportunity, just throw in the coins. Like, it's not that the West suddenly didn't produce their martyrs. Like, for example, Germany right now is sending additional 20 martyrs. I am pretty sure that those 20 martyrs were either just substituted by the new production or something else. But it doesn't mean that the old ones weren't there, right? I'm not thinking that's like, but they're like, oh yeah, but we cannot stay defeated. Like, defense against what? Defense against what? There's just one security threat on the continent. And guess what? That's exactly where the martyrs are needed. So we're stuck in this scenario where the martyrs and infantry fighting vehicles were not even on a schedule line. And during the whole autumn and winter, Ukraine received jack shit in the deliveries. And then we go finally in the winter. We start winter, Russia starts winter offensive, Ukraine defeats the winter offensive, and then it's like finally, okay, tanks agreed, infantry fighting vehicles agreed. It was like, great success, amazing, finally, fucking yes. Initial packages approved, said, okay, we're going to deliver this. Of which now we know, like during the last week, we know that the best part of it didn't even came through. Ukraine received barely like 25-30% of what was promised. That's ridiculous. That's ridiculous. And then we get into the situation where it's like, okay, not only we missed the moment where Ukraine had the opportunity to, and had the men and had the resources, they just needed, like the vehicles, like just send the tanks now. We gave Russia the time to build the defensive lines, and then they say, okay, we're now going to deliver you the 300 tanks, the 700 APCs like a half a year later. And then from what that promised, you also deliver only a third. And then people come up, all of these motherfucking journalists saying, Ukraine is kind of slow. I'm just speechless. I'm just speechless about this, especially because we already now the proper analysts and military men came out and said, yeah, like with the resources Ukraine is having, our armies would not even start their operation, not even talking about advancing anywhere and potentially still breaking through, because Ukraine still have the chance with a proper breakthrough because Russian forces are really having troubles. So in a military sense, when military analysts that really understand what resources Ukraine has, how much time Russia had to prepare the defenses, and they're saying Ukraine is conducting miracles on the battlefield, and then some snug assholes that are just looking at this war by the map saying, well, last week I didn't see map change color, so nothing happened. And that just completely shakes my foundation for, are you for real? Are you for real? So, long story short, all of my rant and everything that I just said right now boils down to that we finally found out that a lot of promises to Ukraine that were promised for them specifically for this fucking offensive not only not arrived later, it did not arrive, period. And more importantly, it's going to be arriving in like years to come. So we still are not sure when exactly that is coming. And instead of like going after from the spring, saying, hey, we promised this number AFCs, we promised like Bradleys, Abrams, whatnot, Marder, is like, okay, great, we didn't deliver this, guys, but we're going to deliver more. What, US suddenly run out of Bradleys? Are you serious? Are you shitting me? The same gripe is that Western powers have the resources, but there is some weird-ass logic where they are looking at the paper saying, we promised Ukraine this number of paper, and there is zero follow-up on what actually has been delivered and what should be the expectations of that. More importantly, it's always too little and too late. And that is where we are now. And that is why I'm mad. That is why, despite all of the positive news for Ukraine, despite at all of the wonders that Ukraine is doing, I am mad. Because I know that whatever Ukraine is doing is costing more lives of Ukrainians, because we in the West could do something about it, but didn't. Because we hid behind the red tape, we hid behind the paper promises, we hid behind fake reality. And fake reality is what got us into this situation in the first place. Remember, I was talking about Putin and perception of Putin being completely unrealistic. It's the same shit. We're looking at the battlefield like it's one of our armies. We don't feel the scales. We're not seeing how much Ukraine needs certain things. That's the rant. I'm not gonna go too much into this, but the good news is, like, the silver lining is that Ukraine is securing long-term contracts. Ukraine is talking directly with the producers, and Ukraine long-term is securing themselves a proper business relations with actual weapons procurements. So Ukraine in long term will have not just weapons delivered, but also the proper production facilities and also the proper support for their warfare. Especially now that finally, not only this week, planes were kind of confirmed all this time, but we know that the training has started and is ongoing properly, and supposedly there are proper positive developments in it, like Ukrainians learning faster than expected. Wow, shocker. But also, I'm not sure if you heard, Blinken in a recent interview said that even if Ukraine gets ATACMS, which I will believe only when I'm seeing it on Ukrainian side, but not only ATACMS delivered to Ukraine potentially, but also Blinken stating in the interview that it's up to Ukraine whether to strike targets inside Russia or not, which is a nice change. It's a nice change of conversation dynamic, because I was always saying to you that there is literally zero reasons for demanding that Ukraine does not target with Western weapons assets on the territory of Russian proper. Zero. And then there was this whole stupid-ass scandal, like the stupidest shit ever. Remember I told you about UN saying that Putin should abide by the documents that Russia signed? Yeah, okay, it's stupider than that. It's when the pro-Ukrainian, well, okay, not pro-Ukrainian, but like anti-Russian fascists, the Russian Volunteer Corps, when they went into the territory of Russia and made some certain assaults, harassing Russian, making sure that they dedicate some resource to solve it. And then during one of the videos, there was some Belgian rifle that came into shot. And then Belgian authorities raised a stink, like that it was like the biggest deal after sliced bread. And they started trying to discover how did these guys get their hands on the weapons that were specifically supplied to Ukraine, so Ukrainians fight it on the Ukrainian territory. What a stupid ass shit. Like I only have the curse words. I'm sorry, guys. It's so dumb. It's dumber than Gutierrez. For reals. For reals. That is so stupid. Yeah, FN 2000. That was the stupidest thing ever. I cannot even express how disappointed at that moment I was. And after that, we know that pretty much all of the incursions, for the most part, stopped. They are still doing certain things, small ones, but mostly they're not crossing in depth into the Russia. That's the bad news. Let's get to the good news. As I already expressed, potentially ATACMS, potentially Ukraine finally get this weird rule lifted from them not attacking Russia proper, mostly because Ukraine themselves achieved it. I'm not sure if you've seen recent Budanov's conference. Actually, I'm going to put this up video. Let me find this video. On Twitter, I saw it. It was a great response by Budanov. And I really believe we need... Oh my God, like I opened Twitter and there's like some tits looking at me. Holy shit. Tits for Ukraine. Yep. Let's see, Budanov. Because, yes, perfect. Because that was so good. All right. Window? Hello? There we go.
I told you then, and I will repeat it again, that you, in principle, formulate your questions based on Western logic, which is based on what is called the Russian house. And the situation is different. Russia no longer has a one-man counter to this situation. What kind of escalation are we talking about? All types of weapons are involved, from submarines to strategic aircraft. By the way, this is the first war. It is definitely the first war in which absolutely all types of weapons have already been used. Therefore, my answer is simple. There is no need to formulate the question, but the logic itself needs to be changed a little. Not everything depends, and not everything is in the hands of the Russian Federation. Definitely not. And not everything is in the hands of other players on the world stage. A little depends on us.
Yes, mic dropped. Mic drop moment. That was the great. You know, it's like because Ukraine has agency. Because Ukraine has the ability to dictate what's going to happen. And I believe, in the same sense, also it's for ATACMS, for example, right now, the discussion is because Ukraine has dedicated to striking a lot of targets inside of Russia. And what? Did the nuclear war start? What really changed? It's because Russia has used, what I've been saying like over a year now, is that Russia have used all of their resources. They're using all of their available, capabilities to fight Ukraine, minus the nuclear ones. And the nuclear ones, well, there are questions about them as well. I mean, nuclear weapons I answered many, many times. The main part about them that we kind of need to understand is just they don't solve problem. They just make it worse. So it's not a problem-solving solution. However, coming back to a discussion at the Jonathan Frink, is that we do not always can be seeing the same as Putin is seeing. So there is this small chance that potentially, Putin might be influenced into believing that nuclear weapons can be some kind of exit for him. They absolutely are not. Logically and absolutely, they are not. They're not solving anything. But if he would believe that, despite the consequences, there is a possibility for that. Yes. Fabrice, you're making the best point. Fabrice here is making the best point that right now for Putin, nuclear weapons are doing a lot more job by just existing rather than he actually using them. Right now, nuclear weapons are deterring a lot of discussions around Ukraine and support for Ukraine. Like, imagine Russia would have would not have nuclear weapons, or it would already use them or something. Would there be even a discussion about whether or not should attackams go to Ukraine, and can and should Ukraine attack inside Russia? And we already discussed a lot that Russia is not a great state. It's not an empire. Well, it's not a great power. Like, how do I put it simply? So Russia is big, not great. That's kind of the main point. Russia is just big, and some look at the size and they see greatness. Whereas when you start evaluating the actual contents of that bigness, and then you're like, well, the bigness part is there, but the greatness definitely is lacking. And that is like what the Baltics see. But everyone else that's looking from afar is like, hey, that's a big ass bitch. So they're probably also great. Whereas they're not. They're not. They're technologically backwards. So if they would not have any nuclear weapons, then there would not be any kind of a discussion about whether or not countries within proximity to Russia should be even considered or not considered joining NATO. It's a lot of countries are still trying to explain to the world, like including the Baltic states, and I'm biased here for sure, but that's why you're listening to me, and Ukraine included, are trying to explain, hey, we are our own thing. Like, we are not dependent from Russia. We are not afraid of Russia because Russia is not great. It's just big. It's just a big thing. And that's why we're not afraid of it. Because we can do it. If Russia would attack NATO, Russia would not exist by this point already. It would be destroyed. Like, at least, can we agree on that? Like, we can discuss NATO good, NATO bad. I mean, I've heard Tankies plenty talking about who NATO bad, America bad. Fuck it. But can we at least agree that NATO would absolutely fucking wipe the Russian army out of the face of existence in a matter of like weeks, maybe days even? So thankfully that question is finally settled, though I still see some weird ass tankies that are like, but Russian equipment's so good and rustic and robust, and it's like, it's hilarious. Like, the Sims of Russia never change. I hope they will never will. Russia has dedicated a lot more. Like, AJ is asking, like, where do you feel this war would so it's like, where do you feel, I think I misread the question, where do you feel this war would be had Russia only targeted military assets instead of civilians? So AJ, the point that you're making is what you would see, how would this war develop if Russia would be competent? Like, that's what you're saying, right? Like, because every time I'm introduced to this question, it's like, oh, well, it's like, but Russia can be competent. No, it can't. No, it can't. Because if Russia would be competent, they would not be in this war. They would not be in this war. They would not start this war. Firstly, they would be a little bit smarter. They would play it a little bit wiser. But that's not what Putin is. Putin is not wise. He's not smart. Every time you make that kind of question, you're initially right away saying is like, well, you know, Russia actually is smart. They're just not doing it right. They're not. The whole point of where would Russia be if Russia would strike military targets? The reason they're not striking military targets is because they can't. Because they can't. Because at the first, when the war started, they tried striking military targets. And it didn't work. Because Ukraine was just moving the targets out of the way. They're still trying to strike military targets. It's not something that are spoken a lot of in the news. They're still trying to strike the airfields. They're still trying to strike like some kind of training facilities. There was a big ass explosion a couple of months ago where they strike targets that were like from the Soviet times. But what the analysts have developed at the start, discovered at the start of the war, that when Russia was striking targets, they used the maps that they had of Ukraine and strategic developments of Ukraine from like 1970s. Because they were striking targets, for example, it was, I believe, around Odessa, one of the most famous one, when it hit the building, is because that building is built on the top of what used to be a military base. Russia has very little intelligence. They don't have the technology. We are still assessing Russia in our paradigm. We are assessing that, hey, you know, it's like a 21st century, so we have all of this internet and technology and satellites. You know, it's like it's us that are having, when we go into war, this is us having it. Russia doesn't have that. When we're thinking about Putin, we're thinking, oh my God, we know everything that's happening in the war. Because we're following the OSINT intelligence. We're looking at the map real time. We're seeing these videos. Putin doesn't use computer. He doesn't know how internet works. He never been on the internet. He gets his information from people that are yes men to him, that are handing him folders that contain information for him to read. Because he's a grandpa. He's an old school dinosaur. He's an old school spy. You, every single fucking one of you that are watching this right now, know 10 times more information from the battlefield than Putin does. I can guarantee you that. So when he came out and said that during the Ukrainian offensive, Ukraine lost 18,000 armored vehicles, he was genuine in his assessment because that's what he read. Because he's misinformed. He doesn't understand reality. He is completely detached from reality. And when you're detached from reality, you start making decisions that are not relevant to reality. And to the people that perceive reality, like me, you, everyone here, it makes no sense. And then we start generalizing, thinking, oh, maybe it would be a great plan. You know, maybe if Russia would strike military targets and not civilian, they would win this war. Yeah, but they don't. Why is that? Because their leadership is detached from reality. It's because they think that looking at the 1970s military maps still produce the same results as having a live feed satellites. Yeah, clip this, yes. Don't worry, it's going to be in recording, so you can clip it anytime. Yeah, I cannot believe Putin has not been on the internet. Welcome to the new world. Like, there's a lot of things you can get when you are following Russia. That's for sure. Russia is interesting. Russia is... one of the things that was always interesting for me to discover how this war developed, especially from the outlook. I was looking when I just started kind of following the war on YouTube and everything. I was basically doing the same that you guys are doing, and I was watching Jake Bro, and I was like, Jake Bro kind of almost like discovered Russia for himself. He was this fresh, it was a fish out of the water story. You know, it's a favorite trope inside of Hollywood. It's how he's slowly like if you watch, like for example, his earlier videos, like there was still some discussion about, Russia has this, Russia has that, Putin has this. It was a lot of speculation, and obviously he was fully pro-Ukraine. But then you start seeing him develop over time. From that, it's like, yeah, Russia is like they're just backwards. They're just dumb. At first, it was like, I think sometimes it was like with a little bit of disbelief. But then at some point, finally, Jake is like, yep, nope, like they are this stupid. They are exactly this stupid. So it was very, very funny. It was very, very funny for me to follow Jake and his transformation from a person that just discovered Russia. And obviously that happened not just to Jake, that happened to a lot of people on the internet. A lot of people on the internet just were like, okay, well, Russia, the great power that is never rivaled, that was about to defeat NATO and US hegemony. All hail Putin, the naked man on the horse. Well, it turned out that he was just naked. And there was the story. Yeah, the defected pilot was a great story as well. Great job by Budanov's team and so on. So it's really, really nice. That is really, really nice. All right, let me read some people that were so nice to donate some of the monies. James, thank you so much for $2. Paul, thank you so much for $6. I guess it's Australian. Stop Hero, nice seeing you, my Bulgarian friend. Let's start with Ukraine destroying submarines, creating submarines. Yes. Karen, thank you so much. White Lightning, thank you so much. Oh, White Lightning. Oh, I remember one of the first viewers for sure. White Lightning has been following this forever. Isn't there a longer range HIMARS on the way? Yes, GLSDB. They were supposed to be in June. GLSDB is exactly the long range HIMARS missiles that everyone was waiting for. And they are supposed to be, they were supposed to arrive in June. Then it turned into, well, like a part of them will arrive in June to, well, maybe they will arrive like late August, to then absolutely disappear, and then now coming up with like, well, production troubles, stuff like that. We don't know. Maybe a little bit more. OCT, thank you so much for more gifted subs. Flash73 gifted 1 membership. Thank you so much. Maria, love your bitching. Keep it real. Yes, thank you. I will never stop bitching because I'm a bitch. Tankton, thank you so much for 200 Norwegian kroners. OCT, again, thank you so much. AJ, thank you so much as well for donations. Nick, welcome to Brother Noms. Mike, thank you so much for $5. There we go. Yes, that meme, yeah, thank God they're so fucking stupid. That's true. And obviously we shouldn't underestimate the enemy, right? When you listen to the Ukrainian soldiers and they're saying, yeah, Russia is still a threat. It's true. Russia is a threat. Russia, though, again, the argument is that Ukraine right now is not fighting really Russia. Ukraine right now is fighting the Soviet Unions, the Soviet Union, the whole accumulated power of the Soviet Union. And here we're going back into the perception of that this war has lost Putin a lot more of what he was having. Because right now, Putin so deep in his sunk cost fallacy that he is burning everything. Like, because Russia, like, I want you guys to stop. Like, just stop and think about what you witnessed this week. I can completely underline this every time I see, but you need to stop and just think about this. Russia, the country that inherited decades of armament by the world's superpower, including munitions, is asking North Korea to please supply some shells to us. We have nothing to fire in our attempts to conquer this one nation in Europe. Just stop for just a brief second and just think how ludicrously stupid, not stupid, but like ludicrously incredible that sounds. whole decades of superpower accumulating resources, military stockpiles, shells after shells after shells, with billions of shells in stockpiles, unending quantities that were produced day after day on many, many factories inside of the Soviet Unions. And now Russia, only about a year and a half of the war, is asking North Korea, hey bro, please, can you spot for me here? That is incredible. The amount of waste to Russia that Putin has laid is just incredible. That's why, for example, the tanky argument is for me so backwards when they're saying Putin is trying to do things better for Russia. He is trying to push NATO and trying to, in Ukraine, make sure that NATO is not on his border. You see the problems with that. But the point is that the amount of damage that Putin did to Russia specifically, not even Ukraine, Russia in both soft power, in the standing, in economics, in everything, in battle capabilities, because all of these shells, they could have been on stockpiles and they could have been a potential threat to anyone that would even try to look into Russians' way, trying to test them for anything. And Putin has squandered it all. Everything is wasted. He's the worst gambler in the history of gambling. Imagine a person like Elon Musk going into Las Vegas and losing everything on a slot machine, or imagine like another hypothetical scenario, like completely irrelevant, like not true at all, like Elon Musk buying some popular platform, paying like tens of billions for it, and then running into the ground. It's a complete hypothetical, and then losing it all. Like Putin did like many times worse than that. Putin just ruined not only the current situation for Russia and Russians, the Russian people that tankies want to suck the dicks of. They are ruining the futures of the whole generations of Russians to come, irrelevant from whether or not Russia loses the war or wins. Because at this moment, the concept of victory that Russia is proposing is just reach status quo and hopefully make sure it's a frozen conflict, and then, maybe we can squeeze something out. That's their best plan. That's the best Putin has. It says like, okay, we lost everything. We already are sitting here at the poker table without pens, but I'm hoping for that lucky draw to then maybe get at least enough money to get a bus ticket home. That is like, I already lost and the gambler has already lost the Lamborghini, lost his pants, lost his shirts, his house, and now he has like just a scrubby old apartment left from the old times. And now he's like, okay, I just need to get enough money to win enough money for a train ticket home. That's the state of Russia. That is what Putin did. Everything that he did. That is the ludicrous. And when they are advocating the tankies and all the Russian shills, they're like, yeah, Russia win. But that's the concept of victory. Like they're cheering for Russia to get that train ticket. Like just, how is that? How are people treating it seriously? That's the question that bothers me the most. That's why I don't care about trolls. Like trolls make me laugh. Because they're advocating for this outcome. They're advocating for essentially Russia to get that maybe a lucky ticket. It's like, it's the silliest, stupidest thing ever. And the only pity of all of this situation, I would be laughing my ass off though I am laughing my ass off from Russians, let's be true. But even more, the only thing that is stopping me is that Ukrainian lives are paid for it. That's the only thing that makes it visceral, and mostly, instead of a lot of laughter additionally, it gets me angry. It gets me mad at the injustice. And especially it gets me mad when we see some of the democratic setups that our post-war world has brought, like United Nations, other transnational companies that were supposed to do good in the world. And they are still looking at Russia and they're playing this weird charade, like Russia still owns that Lamborghini, like Russia still owns that oil platforms, like Russia still owes, and not a person sitting at the poker table with their butt naked. And that's what saddens me the most. Mark, Georgie, looks like Kharkiv has just been hit with missiles. Yes, and that's exactly what I'm saying. That's the saddest part. Like, the sad part is that unfortunately there are actual innocent human lives being lost because of one addicted gambler that doesn't understand reality and cannot come online to even bitch on me in the comment section. All right. What else we're discussing? What else good? I'm pretty sure you've made a lot of good points. Yeah, today not a lot of questions, mostly because I had a lot of things to say. I at the start of the video, at the start of the stream, I talked about that I really want to talk, and I'm just going to be talking. So the title. Oh yeah, good point, Hisham. Good point. Ukraine and Black Sea. One of the interesting aspects that we don't cover a lot on the maps and the map updates is the situation in the sea, because it was very clear from the outline when the war started. Russia has the fleet. It's maybe not the most new one, but it's quite big. So Russia controls the sea, simple as that, right? Wrong. What slowly started happening is we saw that Ukrainians have started doing some counter, like at the start of the offensive, Ukraine pretty much sank their whole fleet that were stationed. I believe it's Mykolaiv. That was the one of the ships, but it would be sunk anyway. Like, I'm pretty sure Russia would target it. But since then, first it was just the mines, because I still remember the time when Russian ships were like vultures circling around Odessa, when there was still an expectation that Russian troops will... I'm actually going to open the map just so you follow, because I know, while I know now Ukrainian geography by heart, there are sometimes people that don't know it by heart. So let me just open the map so we can follow along. So I still remember the time where you see this green liberated territory, and that was when Russia came in, they were able to capture Kherson right away within a week. And then they were moving along this road towards Mykolaiv. And around Mykolaiv, this is where they had the biggest troubles. Here they had their mouthfuls. They received a lot. And then they were ships, if you can see, I hope. Let me see that my camera is not in the way. Yeah, okay, my camera is not in the way. In Odessa, so the ships that were carrying troops, they were circling around Odessa. They were trying to see, okay, once Mykolaiv is taken, then there is no big cities on the way, and then Russian troops will just arrive, and it would be great. Well, unfortunately, Mykolaiv has proven themselves to be problematic for Russians. So what they did instead, they went over Mykolaiv. So they went all the way here. and they tried to get all the way to Voznесенsk, where there is another highway, if you can see, and they wanted to try to get to Voznесенsk, to try to cross it and then go down this highway. That was their plan. So we just circle around Mykolaiv. Instead of taking it, we just siege it, because at that moment they just started sieging it. And then we get to Voznесенsk, and then from there they go all the way to Odessa south. Obviously didn't happen. There is a long story how Voznесенsk became that village that stood in the way. I believe BBC has a really nice documentary about this. Maybe I will like, if you remind me, I'll send it over, or go to Discord. We'll share it on Discord, I hope. And I still remember that time, but that was it. Obviously, the Snake Island, this small piece of land here, which is the famous quote of Russian warship, "Go F himself," which is actually going to be part of today's giveaway for the people that donated to Ukrainian Armed Forces. It's going to be a special treat from Ukraine. That was happening here. And Russia had it all. Russia had everything in this area. Then the first blow. What was the first blow? Do you remember? Does anyone remember what was the first blow for Russia that kind of shook their standing in the sea? Let's put it this way. And yeah, I'm already seeing. Yes, obviously the Moskva. The sunking of the Russian, the Russian flagship. Like, Moskva was not only just a ship. It wasn't just a ship. It was the ship. In the Black Sea Fleet, it was the ship. It was the flagman of the Black Sea Fleet. It was the head ship. It was really important. So that changed things. After Moskva got sunk, ships from Russia. And there was another around the same time. Another thing happened. There were a couple of ships stationed in Berdyansk, which is right to the west from Mariupol. Couple of ships were struck in Berdyansk as well on station. After that happened, couple of things, both Moscow and Berdyansk. Russian moved their ships to Simferopol, and they moved their ships towards the Kerch Bridge, so they were starting to operate in this area. Ukraine was able to effectively push Russians back to about this area. In the Black Sea Fleet, in the Black Sea, Russia doesn't have a lot of aerial radars. They don't. So Russians are dependent on putting their equipment as close to Ukraine as possible to set up radars. And for that, they're using a couple of things. Firstly, they're using and still using this area over here. Since then, this area has been eradicated from any Russian presence after Ukraine retook Kherson. Then there was Snake Island that Russia tried to use, but Ukraine completely demolished it with artillery and then retook it. And then there were something that were called boycott towers in the sea. I don't know precise location. I just know they're somewhat to the west of this area, so somewhere here. And Russia got these towers in the Black Sea from the 2014 when they captured Crimea, when they had their initial invasion. These were used to be gas and oil drilling platforms, but since then Russia put a lot of anti-air systems on them, and Russia, most importantly, put a lot of forward-seeing radars on them. And those radar systems, a lot of strikes that Ukraine did around Crimea, they were actually prevented specifically because Russia had a radar system in the area. And around the end of August this year, Special Forces of Ukraine, after of their operation being performed, they were able to retake those platforms, take away equipment from those platforms, and most importantly, disable the radar. So now Russia is fully dependent on having radar installations in this area here, only at the land. But this area right here is specifically, as you again remember, after retaking of the, I should use red for Russia, yeah, retaking the platforms, right after that, we saw the S-400 systems being blown up by a special operation of Ukraine. And apparently they took out the radar as well. And that was one blow. After that, Russia tried to get new systems in place, but they were not as potent. They didn't have the whole setup. The point is, you can see the whole pattern. Ukrainians slowly but surely made sure that Russia is completely blind in this area. That this area not only is non-accessible by their planes, that there is not even eyes that are looking this direction in depth. And then we have to the second part, because you can say, well, it's all good that they don't have radars anymore, but what about these guys that go out and check? Well, I don't need to tell you a lot because you already know the answers. Ukraine has developed a very interesting capability of suicide drones, the surface drones that are going against naval targets. And these motherfuckers are really badass, because Ukraine first deployed them in smaller qualities. Since then, they were perfected over multiple times. And while so far the number of strikes that Ukraine is conducting on Russian vessels have been low up until last week, we're going to talk about last week, Russia still felt that it was danger enough to not go in depth into the water. So not only they were not seeing what's happening here, they were also not going in to check what's happening there. And all of their caliber missile systems and everything were mostly launched from this area right here of operations, where they just were launching stuff to Crimea. This changed last week. Last week, Ukraine did a combined strike where they used first component, the air component, where they abused that Russia has no way to see what's happening here. So Ukraine was able to fly their planes with missiles attached, and those missiles are very, very special. First missiles that Ukraine used were Storm Shadow missiles, and Storm Shadow missiles have struck the targets here. So they struck the dry dock of Russia by hitting one ship and hitting the second ship, which was a submarine, and destroying them. That was bad enough. Like, that's really bad, because like Russian Black Sea Fleet is not really that big, and those vessels are gone. What's worse for Russia is that it seemingly damaged the dry dock. This is a bigger deal than you can imagine, because as dependent as Russia is on the Black Sea, they don't have the same capacity and size of a dry dock anywhere else. The only one that might come close is in Novorossiysk, which is over here. But it's a lot smaller, and it's specifically for, I believe, just one vessel, but don't quote me on that. But I know that it's a lot smaller, so the capacity is smaller. And that is really bad. That is really bad. So some of the analysts are saying that disabling the dry dock might be a bigger problem for Russia than actually losing just the ships. Because now, if they have a ship that is damaged, which there were just recently was damaged, because during the same time when they were attacking, when the missiles struck targets here, Ukraine also launched surface drones to attack into direction. And there was a additional patrol ship. And now we see pictures of that patrol ship being towed into the harbor by the towing boats, and he was already like having an angle. So that ship now would have no place to be really repaired. Now, obviously, there are options. There are maybe smaller docks. It's possible to adapt. But the point is, it's slower, it's worse, and it's a big, big damage. That is one thing. Second thing that happened is that Russia has struck again the S-400 system by using their own missiles. And they're using modified Neptune missiles from their airplanes. And modified Neptune missiles are very potent. Remember, Neptune missiles were the missiles that Ukraine used to strike Moscow. So now Ukraine has their own home-produced missile capabilities to strike in depth of Russia. Russia now answered to all of these and relocating their majority of their ship towards area of Kerch and Novorossiysk. So what we see right now is that Ukraine, a country with no naval power, a country with little to no fleet whatsoever in the war, has not only struck painful blows to Russia, it has pushed the area of operations of Russia to basically this. Okay, maybe like this, something like this. I'm pretty sure they can still reach Istanbul somehow. But the main interest, the area of Ukraine, it's now Ukrainian clay. This is the part of the war that we often miss on the map. But now Ukrainian area of operations is expanded. Russia is blind in the east, and their ships are now being pushed towards Novorossiysk. So that means that if you thought that just one special forces getting into Crimea and having a blast there, literally, and exploding the S-400 system was a thing, well, just you wait and see what's going to happen in the furthest. Because if Russia doesn't control anything up here, well, that's really problematic. So that's the situation on the sea. Ukraine has won the sea war, and I know it's still very big questions. But at this moment, Ukraine is controlling everything that they need to control for their next steps. It even controls part of Crimea, and it terrifies Russia. So now all of these majestic, expensive fleet that Russia is having, useless. The only thing they can do is fire missiles from far away. That is incredible. A country with no naval power is dominating the sea war. What a incredible sight. So that's another thing that Ukraine is completely rewriting history on, because it's like, to be honest, it's unbelievable. It's literally unbelievable what is happening. All right, a couple of more people said thanks. Thank you so much, guys, right away. David, thank you so much for £1. Appreciate it. Everything helps. Thank you for the great show. Ukraine rocks for sure. Russia sucks. Yes. Sean Rice. Yes. I love your cursing, ranting optimist. Do not forget that US is a breath away from a war with China, and I want China the way you watch Russia, and I watch China the way you watch Russia Ukraine. Okay, cool. Though I'm not sure there's going to be a war right now with China and US. So far, it's a lot of saber rattling. I don't see the actual escalation. There are certain signs that would indicate preparations for war. Right now, they're not there yet. Charles, thank you so much. Welcome. Captain Copenhagen, welcome again. Nice to see you, buddy. How are you doing? Sophia, thanks so much for 500 kroners. Support your fight, 110%. Love your analysis. Well, I wouldn't call my, like, I've thought about this. I had this week for me where I was sick, and I thought about whether am I an analyst or not, because most of my analysis come just from another analyst. And the only thing I do is, I just try to distill which analysts are good, which analysts are bad, and I'm kind of giving that information. So I would rather call it like a commentator, or commenter, I don't know. So I'm just more commenting on the war rather than analyzing it. OCT, thank you so much again. David, welcome. And another from David. This is for Ukraine, Latvia, and Georgia. I just bought some wireless Bluetooth earbuds, but I can't figure out how to get both. Left and right to work only. Right is getting this out. Slava Ukraini, Slava Latvia. If that would be a problem with microphone that you're having, I would be really glad to show you how microphone works. With Bluetooth headphones, I'm not sure. I know. Derek, Ukraine needs what? What the hell? Okay, I pressed something, it deleted the comment. Shit. Can I undelete, please? YouTube? Wow, I cannot undelete the message. Damn it. Derek, can you write the message again with an at Ukraine matters? I accidentally clicked and deleted the message. Sorry. And there is no undelete function. Lol. Yes. Just as I was talking. Microphone matters, yeah, for sure. Thwarted by technology. Absolutely. Control Z, yeah, Control Z doesn't work. Like YouTube is really bad, actually. Like, gotta say, YouTube is really bad. So Derek there we go. No worries. Ukraine needs ATACMS and Taurus cruise missiles to finish the job. USA and Germany needs to get off their asses to supply them now. Yes, obviously we need to understand that there is no wonder weapon. There is like no weapon is a wonder weapon. There is no weapon that's just going to be a game changer for Ukraine. That thing I hope we can all agree on. But all the capabilities, the more capabilities Ukraine has, the more chances it has against Russia, and the less Ukrainians will die. That's the most important. Yes, I think we can go to Raffle because I've been doing this now for a little bit, right? For just over an hour. Because as you know, guys, remember, if you don't want to stay here for Raffle or anything, tomorrow is going to be video. I'm going to be covering all of the situation, all of the things that happened over the last week. It's going to be quite a lot. I think it's going to be quite a long video. Can you talk on Robotina front? Yes, tomorrow. Do you think France and Hungary will ever join NATO? Nice. Okay, let's see. Giveaway. How do I... This competition has ended. Okay, good. How do I... Rewards? Okay. Your competition has finished. Okay. How do I... Okay, let me check email. I like Vlad Wexler and the Russian dude. Yeah. Okay, let's see. Let's see. Oh, I should probably. Ooh, I don't wanna show the screen with the Raffle because it has like a lot of sensitive information here. I would not be okay sharing it. Okay, draw winners. There we go. Would this work? Ooh, ooh, ooh. Yes, okay, perfect. Yes. See documentation for drawing winners. Okay, so I will do this with winnings. Let's agree on the winnings, guys. So I will email. I will mail the winnings to everyone wherever you are. I will try to do that. As for US, you have options. You will have options because I will be in US in October. So if you want to receive your thing when I'm in US, for example, in person, you're very welcome to come in October to DC and then meet me in DC, and I can give it to you in person, or I will just send it over right away, or not. Let's go. 25 winners. Winners to draw. Let's draw. Let's draw. And okay. Perfect. Woo. So we have a winner. Can I? Let's go. Let me get the winnings. So we go over them. All right. Happy moment. Happy moment. Okay. Joachim Nilsson is the first winner. He is from Sweden, and he wins the Ukraine Matters round patch, which is this one. So Joachim, congratulations. You are getting the Ukraine Matters round patch. I will contact you all by email. I see emails of everyone here, so it should not be problematic. Then we have Sir Garrick, the second winner of Ukraine Matters round patch. Sir Garrick, congratulations. Then we have Li Shihim. I'm sorry for mispronouncing. I'm really bad with names. From Hong Kong. And you, my friend, are getting the some guy's picture on a patch as well. Then we have TM, Tony Macbeth. I would assume so. TM from Brisbane, Australia. Another patch. All right. Woo. I should have put like this game show music or something like this. There's a bunch of stuff here that are still packed, so I'm a little bit worried. So I'm gonna unpack when I'm gonna put them right away into the letters, and I'm gonna send it to you. But now we're giving away. These are wooden. Like I know that they're falling apart a little bit. I'll show you like better this one. So I have like two of these. So these are from the Armed Forces of Ukraine. They are the like how do you say, like a wooden magnets with Ukrainian soldiers. And we have a couple of winners here. We have Fabiano Passin. Congratulations with this, from Brazil. David Aidinas from Panevėžys. Congratulations, David. Ted Massad from Tulsa. Is Oklahoma. I hope it's Oklahoma. Yes. Then we have Tomas Bilevičius from Kaunas, Lithuania. Wow, 2 Lithuanians. That's pretty rare. Like, they're a very, very small percentage of people from Baltics that watch me. So 2 Lithuanians in one raffle. Then we have Brandy from Peterborough, Canada. I'm also mispronouncing town names, so sorry about that. Then we have Christina Olshansky from Philly. We have Tyler Rodenberg from San Jose. Hey, we have Kristaps Pucis from Riga, Latvia. Very, very nice. So a fellow Latvian also won one of these. Then we have Paul Hannon from, what is it called? Neat, United Kingdom. Congratulations. It's going to be these guys. One of these you will get. Then Raul from the Netherlands. Glenn Simones from Virginia Beach. We have also Geyer S from Köln. And that's it. That's all of the 12 special things settled. Then we go into the another thing. So we have the Russian warship Go F Yourself. It's also like a wooden magnet. So Russian warship Go F Yourself. And the first winner of that one is Dina from Newcastle, UK. Congratulations. Then we have Steven Van Meter. One Matter, I don't know. Like, sorry for butchering names. I'm really sorry. From Surprise, Arizona. That's the best name of the city. Like, we have a city in Denmark that's called Middelfart, but Surprise is really good. Surprise is a really good name for a city. Adrian from Zmevsky from Edmonton. Frank Pressen from Wusen, Germany. And we have Travis Erickson from Dayton, Ohio. Congratulations, guys. You will get the Russian warship Go F Yourself. Wooden magnets, I would guess. Specifically from Ukraine. They're pretty cool. All right, there we go. Then we get into the baseball hat territory. Wait a second. What the hell? Interesting. What is this? Yes. Then we have Toddy Sly from Atlanta is getting a Ukraine Matters hat. And I forgot to bring it over from downstairs. But you will be getting a hat from Ukraine Matters. Martin Polak from Vienna, Austria is going to get Ukraine Matters hat as well. And John Huber, our favorite, is going to get a Ukraine Matters baseball hat. Now, obviously, you stayed here for a while, guys. And for some reason, certain things didn't register in the system. So I actually have 2 more of these guys. Oh, wait. I wanted to keep them. Doesn't matter. Just support Ukraine. And I have the very special patch that didn't add. Is the 93rd Brigade patch, which is really cool. It's actually like made of rubber and it's like 3D. I hope I can show it to you. It's because of my face. Its camera is trying to focus on my face too much. Like, can you show? Yeah, you see, it's a little bit like kind of 3D thingy. So this one is really cool. Embossed. Pretty cool, like a boss. Yes, I remember I needed to keep these. So sorry. I was like, what are they doing there? Why are they there? Okay. So for you guys here that are here and stayed here, we're gonna get this one on. So this one raffle. So your idea is how we can play it. Let me just select a random person from chat. Would that work? Do you want to do that? Cool patches? Yes. They're pretty nice. So should we select just a random person? my mic? Yeah, just me. Just give it to me. Nice. I appreciate it. Yeah, that's a good approach. That's a very nice approach. So let's select just a random person from chat. Let's go. Can I do something like this? Is there a technology from YouTube? Start a poll. No, I don't want to start a poll. Okay. All right. Let's select and let's go. See the chat participants. Can I see it? Yeah, participants. There we go. And I'm gonna close my eyes and I'm gonna roll it up and down, up and down, up and down, up and down. Circle, 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 circle. I needed to probably put it on camera or something like, oh, I'm gonna do this. Like, I don't see where I'm ending. And I'm gonna see, oh, I cannot hit my monitor. Shit, it's there. It's Ant. Ant. Is Ant in the chat? Do we have Ant in the chat? Ant. Hello. Congratulations. I wrote Ant. I hope he's here. Ant-Man 1. The Ant, where are you? Oh no. If Ant, oh no. Woo, hi, I'm here. Yes, I see you, Ant. All right, just mail me at Ukraine Matters 2022. I'm not sure if is there a direct message? Yeah, obviously there is no direct message on YouTube. Why would you need direct messages on YouTube? Duh. Just message me up, and we'll sort things up. If something else, then we're just gonna check up with the identity that is you from Discord and stuff like that, and we're gonna get you this. Perfect. And that's the 100,000 subscriber special raffle. Really happy that it went through. Again, guys, huge thanks for supporting this channel all this time. That's really incredible. I mean, I've said it too many times. You already know that. You are like yeah, okay, this guy is gonna bitch about us subscribing again. But I really missed you guys. I really missed you, because especially during the last week where I was a little bit sick, so I couldn't talk. Kind of sucks. God bless Ukrainian people. Absolutely, absolutely. All right, we still have about 30 minutes, like 20 minutes. Do you have any questions? Do you have any questions? Yeah, 100,000 subscribers. Can we have some ants in the chat, lol? Yeah, I actually am gonna... Oh, we have ants. Ooh. Yes. There we go, ants in the chat. Yes, I am feeling better. I am feeling better. Why do ships entering, leaving Ukraine go to international waters? Why not stay on the waters of Romania? As far as I'm aware, they do go through Romania. No? Also, I'm not sure about shipping. Maybe there's some rules apply. Maybe there's you need to register with Romania when you go into their waters or something like this. I don't know how shipping works. That's my problem. So I'm not sure I can give you an educated answer on this. How about the Cubans being recruited by Russia? Robert, that's not to a scale that Russia needs. So all of these recruitments from other countries, they don't cover the needs of Russia in any meaningful way. It's a obvious precedent but the influence of that precedent is very negligible. If the offensive has to halt during winter, how do you predict 2024 play out? I don't think it's going to halt. I don't think it's going to stop. It doesn't feel that the offensive will stop. It feels that Ukraine has decided to not give Russia even a space to breathe. Will it gonna be like major pushes? No. But then again, Russia might mobilize. So I'm not sure about that. I've talked about Kadyrov at the start of this stream, so you can rewind and watch that. But generally speaking, we don't have any way to verify where Kadyrov is. Will you be in the US, in DC? Brian Keefe, Georgie, your podcast videos are the best. The best. You, the human, will, with all you good, bad, and happy, support Ukraine. Ukraine matters. Thanks, Brian. I really appreciate it. Like, I really do. I know, like, every YouTuber says that, so I'm struck, actually, because whenever I watched YouTubers before, I was like, yeah, obviously he needs to say it, like other people are watching him. But for me, it really is. It really matters. And there is no way I can just say words to express how I feel about this. But I try to explain the best I can because I am not... I don't know how to explain this. I'm really bad with emotions, and especially transitioning my emotions to people. Here, have a heart. Ant Nest, yes. Ants matter. My next channel. Who is the most influential leader in Europe that can help Ukraine the most? Meloni, will there be man shortage for Ukraine in the near future? Good questions. The influential leader in Europe is very interesting because so far there hasn't been one figure. I think what the current situation has shown is that we need European Union more than ever. It showed that the only way Europe can go forward is if we work together and if we actually cooperate. And European Union is the anti-individualist project, right? It's the project where we don't have this one person to lead us somewhere. And it's very much in the spirit of Europe. So I am not completely sure that there will ever be a person that can lead Europe anywhere, not at least in the current setup. But the influential leaders, influential in what? There's a multifaceted area. In support for Ukraine, Meloni is definitely up there. Brent, hi. And about Ukraine, will there be a man shortage in Ukraine? It's a threat. It exists. However, it seems that Ukraine is taking it seriously, and it is more and more in Ukrainian media comes the understanding that pretty much most of the men will have to serve at one moment or another. So it seems that there is a lot of that as well. Hi, should the Nordic countries start training and equipping Ukraine for the next winter? Yes, they have the experience with the winter combat doctrine. Brent, no one has better experience than Ukraine. No one. There is not a country in the world that has more experience than Ukraine in fighting Russia. None. Zero. No. Null. Ukraine has the most experience. There was one analyst from Israel that I watched, and he said that there were some help that U.S. provided to Israel, and one of the Israeli politicians said like an expression, and that's from the analyst. I don't know it. I haven't heard it personally. But he said, when U.S. is helping us, they are sending us ammunition, provision, and advice. Oh no, it's ammunition, money, and advice. We will take ammunition and money, but advice you can keep. And I believe in a large sense, it's the same with Ukraine. And I know it, for us as a Westerners, that doesn't sound nice because we're on the butt end of this. But I believe for Ukraine, it's, can you just send us resources and we can fight it off? We can take care of it. We know how to. There is the know-how in Ukraine. So send the winter clothes, send the equipment. But about how to fight Russia, just leave it to Ukraine. Thoughts on North Korean conscripts? It's been... Those North Korean conscripts are like Kadyrov troops. They're like trying to reach the front line for already half a year now. Or at least, I believe. What's the best Danish fast food? McDonald's. Georgie, I mean, why do the ships sail along the coast of Romania and thus remain under NATO protection? I answered that. I don't know. I don't have well-educated answer on that. So I cannot answer that, unfortunately. Sorry. You underestimate the advice and training. Maybe. Let's put it this way. With regards to advice, there was a great thread, an article, and I'm going to share it in a second, that really talked about what kind of advice Ukraine wants and what kind of... Oh, what? Okay, never mind. Sorry. On Twitter, someone is posting unconfirmed information that Kadyrov is dead. I don't have the knowledge on this, but potentially, again, we'll find out soon enough if Kadyrov is dead. That actually, let's talk about this. I'll find this link and we might talk what happens if Kadyrov dies. That's an interesting thing. That's an interesting thing to talk about. Danish-style hot dogs or buff sandwich are more Danish than McDonald's. No, but that was not the question. That was not the question. It was asking like, what's the best fast food? All right. Oh, I think I reshared this. Give a second. Where is it? Man, I do reshare a lot of fucking tweets. I don't write tweets because obviously I don't. Oh, there we go. Perfect. Mark Hartling or Hertling? I don't know. Someone unrolled this because I know people don't have Twitter. Or sorry, I mean X. People don't have X. So if people don't have X, so you can read this thread about the advice. So in this one, he talks very clearly about what kind of advice and what kind of suggestions Ukraine need. But there are other advice, like unsolicited advice on how to fight the wars, how Ukrainian troops should perform certain actions. And just this week's, there was a couple of interviews that I've read from Ukrainian front lines from the troops that train specifically with NATO. And what they said is that if we would storm the trenches the way that we're taught on our training, we would be dead. That's the reality. Even recently in The Economist, there was again the discussion about blah, blah, blah. Ukraine doesn't fight the same way as NATO, yada, yada, yada. And then they say, but the best performing Ukrainian units are the old units of the old guard that were trained by Ukraine themselves. So even in the same Economist discussion about what kind of a war Ukraine is fighting and how they're achieving results, we're seeing that Ukraine is well adapting to the situation at hand, and they are doing their job at defeating Russia really well. Really, really well. What do you think Ukrainian morale? What do you think? How is Ukrainian morale is holding up? Well, I don't need to think. I am in contact with Ukrainians, both civilian and military, and one of the main things that I always try to convey is that military, especially Ukrainian military, they don't look at the situation as we look at it. We are civilians, and most importantly, we are far from the front lines. We are very susceptible to dynamic changes that on the front line make little to no impact. A lot of Ukrainian troops, especially on the front lines, they are going to this as work. That's why that's why when I'm talking a lot about what Ukraine needs to do, I'm referring it as a job, because that's how a lot of Ukrainian forces and people that are fighting for Ukraine seeing this. They wake up, they brush their teeth, and then they do the job. They have the task that they need to perform, and then they try to do it. And that is how Ukrainians are fighting this war. That's the perception of this war in Ukrainian military. So when there is a lot of emotional moments that are sending many, many waves about uncertainty, especially within observers and civilians, a lot of Ukrainian soldiers are saying it's just part of the job. So they are like, we have a task to do, right? It's unfortunate that, for example, something negative happened, but we have tasks to do. That's kind of how Ukrainians are seeing it. So the question about morale is a little bit a redundant one, because you mean Ukrainians don't have an option not to fight. Yeah. Yeah, it's high, but it's high. The morale is high, but it's not in a sense that it's high that they are all, you know, dancing around and having a good old time there. No. It's very pragmatic, very, very pragmatic. It's working attitude. So Kadyrov, that's interesting, because Kadyrov is a mini dictator inside Chechnya. Obviously, we know that. So if Kady is dead, our dear friend Kady is dead, well, that changes things, because at that moment, the uncertainty in Chechnya escalates. Chechnya was peaceful mostly and only because there was Kadyrov. Right now, if there's going to be a vacuum of power, everything is going to depend on Putin. And the window of opportunity is that the troops, most of the Russian troops, are in Ukraine. So if there is anything that's going to light up with like actual weapons, if, for example, some Eastern European country would see an opportunity to maybe funnel some of the weapons they're having into Chechnya to, let's say, help people that would fight against the regime in Chechnya, and now without Kadyrov, well, let's just say there are possibilities. Death of Kadyrov opens possibilities for destabilization of Russia. Now, obviously, it's an opportunity. It's not given, because another option would be Putin just comes in. There is instantly a warlord that says, I want everything Kadyrov has. And then Putin says, okay, now you are in charge. And then everything just peacefully transitions to that guy. So instead of Kadyrov, everyone else will be following this guy. And then he will need to some time to solidify his power, kill all of his opponents, and potentially it will end within a couple of weeks. So there are options, but it's definitely not gonna be peaceful, and it's not gonna be without its own dangers. Yeah, so we don't know. Right now, again, it's someone writing on Twitter. For me, it's still rumors. There is no confirmation for it. It's not that it's like one of my trusted sources. Someone is disappointed with me. Wait, used to like this channel, but this sounds entitled and ungrateful. Remind him who sent help when their power was getting shelled. Hi, Mars. Where would Ukraine's logistics be if Canada invaded USA? Like, what a brain fart. Oh my god. Also, someone got disappointed at me. I mean, okay. Like, it's the internet, YouTube. I am a guy that is saying my opinion. There are other people saying other opinion, and then some. Like, I mean, like, it's written on my face. I'm an asshole. So fuck you. I used to like you when you were making posts. I'm not sure which one. I'm seeing you for the first time, but I used to like you. But now you're like not as good as you were before. There you go. 1-1. Also, I really like the hi Mars. Oh, hi Mars. How it's going? No, guys. But seriously, I'm not dependent on YouTube. Like, YouTube is not my career. I'm real with you here and so on. But I'm not gonna be concerned about like initials like politicians. If I am suddenly coming to you as arrogant, you have not been paying attention. You're really missing out the point. Also, we talked about earlier in today's stream about why I'm bitching on everything and why I'm ungrateful and bitching to all of these leaders, because it's fucking works. Because because most of Western politicians shown that they have humiliation fetish. So who knew? Who knew that people really wanted to be humiliated, that they really wanted to be like, oh yes, slap me more, daddy. And only then they were like, yes, yes, master, we will finally send like attackams or Taurus. Fuck me. And now they're like, oh no, please, why are you saying that we shouldn't give you unsolicited advice, you ungrateful son of a bitch? Lol. Slap me more, daddy. Yeah, I already imagine Schultz doing that. Yes, thank you so much, guys, for a great stream. I think it was a great point to end. Last time it was assholes. Today we're going to humiliation fetish. Video tomorrow. Please, 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 please continue supporting Ukraine. I know that you do. We're gonna work with NAFO 6. Oh shit! Before we go, let's vote. Let's vote. Because we are. I wonder if I can open these guys. Okay, no, we'll do it in Discord. Fuck it. Go to Discord. We're gonna vote on what kind of patches we're gonna do with the NAFO 69 Sniffing Brigade. I know now it's mainstream because everyone and their dog, everyone and their fella is doing the NAFO 69 Sniffing Brigade car, but that's actually works because those are delivered directly to Armed Forces of Ukraine. They help. They're amazing. Everyone is amazing. Thank you so moderators. Thank you so much for watching this. Thank you so much to everyone that supports Ukraine. I love you all. Slava Ukraini, guys, and I'll see you next time.